in the chat box there or anything good going on. Got my phone.
Oh. We requested, and we refused it. I wouldn't let my seller sell the house for that. So we went back to the mortgage company, and
oh, wonderful.
It's a $30,000 square foot. It was a big deal. I never thought we could move.
We'll see. That's awesome, though. Congratulations. Yes, that is awesome. I will give you guys a gratitude and an update. I got an update from Heather Idolet this morning. Chip is home, so that is really good and exciting. He said the view at home is much nicer than the view in ICU, so that's nice, to no surprise. And they said that he's basically back and ready to work. Jan just finished up her 14-day quarantine, so we're free to move about again. And Chuck is hoping to be moved back to a rehab hospital soon, and he's holding his own for now, so that's all good. He's still in ICU, but he is getting a little bit better each day, so that's awesome too. So keep the prayers going for Chip and Chuck. Yeah, it's crazy. Where, yeah. Carrie Walker said the best way not to get COVID is not to get tested. I don't think that's really how it works. That's not really how pregnancy works either, Carrie. If you don't get tested, you're not pregnant. I don't think that's how it goes. It's probably better. All right, let's get rolling. It's time to start our day. I love this little guy. We deemed that he's from the Little Rascals, the original, and I did not know that, but he is darn cute. He's mine and Tony's favorite. So welcome to the party this morning. We've got Sheila and Dave here that we're going to hear more from in a little bit. We also have lots of guests joining us this morning online, so welcome to everybody who's joining us. We have a lot of birthdays, actually. In the first week here in November, we've got John Graham, who was November 1st. We have Libby and Zach, who were on the 2nd. And then Doug Gepford was the 3rd. And today is Miss Melissa Cash Rogers' birthday. So happy birthday to all of you guys. If you guys didn't see on the LPR Facebook page, this was really sweet, and you ought to pick up a copy of the Daniel Island News. As many of you know, Elizabeth Murphy has been battling a recovery from breast cancer that she has successfully beat so far, which we love. And she found a way of healing during the process. I'm not sure if Elizabeth is on. Let me check and see. But during her chemo process and going through the whole there she is. Going through the whole process, she's decided to start writing poetry. And she has, Elizabeth, how many poems? Have you guys heard anything I've said?
Oh, hi. Are you there?
I'm here. Have you heard anything I've said?
Yes.
Okay, good. So how many poems do you have right now, Elizabeth?
234.
It's crazy. And so she has been published by the Daniel Island News, and they did not only put her on the cover of the Daniel Island News, which is at the front, but also did a huge 2-page spread on her. So that was really, really exciting. Elizabeth, anything else you want to share about that?
No, I'm just so grateful for everybody and all the support and love that I got that really helped me create my poems too.
Well, that's wonderful. We're glad you're here, girl.
Thank you.
And congrats on getting published.
Thank you.
All right, we've got some upcoming things going on as well. We have Basket Brigade tickets for the 1-week stay out at Folly Beach. I think it's Folly Beach. Pretty sure it's Folly Beach. For a raffle for that. So the tickets are on sale. You can buy those from the girls at the front or anyone on the Basket Brigade committee. And then also, can't see on there, but I think it's, let me say something, right? The 17th, is it? Tuesday, November 17th, you guys can probably see it better than we can, but we're doing a farmer's market in our parking lot. We are not suited to open this up to the public, but if you want to call and invite clients, past clients, current clients, friends, that sort of thing, certainly do so. It's a great way to connect, and it's $25. Fill up as much as you can, and you get to keep as much as you can fill up for $25, and it goes directly to Basket Brigade. So, yeah. So we have Long Point is a location, Somerville, and then also Charleston. I think it's West Ashley. What do we call that again? Charleston Central. Yeah. Felt weird. Yeah. So more to come on that. We'll remind you guys about that as it approaches. Tomorrow we are doing Park Circle office orientation. So this is for anybody who thinks they're going to have to work at Park Circle at any point, but especially for the people who are doing floor duty. There's a couple of logistics that you need to know when you're working in that office because there is no OA. The two OAs that support that office are Tony and Alyssa, obviously. But there are things like unlocking the door and not locking yourself out that are probably important. We've had a slew of experiences with that. And then also just how to work the computer and how to switch from the screensaver mode to the computer and that sort of thing. So please join us. It's at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We'll have pizza. It's going to be a mixture of our agents and also Daniel Island agents. Save the date for December 4th. I think you guys have seen this. Alyssa, Tony, and I have been working hard on the details of this. We're pretty excited. We took Cheryl Lane's suggestion, and we have Dog and Duck doing a portion of the food. We're going to have chicken, potatoes, green beans, oysters, cupcakes, and then maybe a few other little surprises in there. So more to come on that, but save the date. It's Friday, December 4th from 5 to 9. It's going to be in our parking lot outside of our office there to the side of the building. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Forgot about the bar. How can I forget about the bar? We also have a bar. Yeah, of course we have a bar. But for the party, we need some fire pit heaters, so the portable ones. So if you guys have one, let us know. We will help you get it to the office and all of that, but we definitely want to borrow as much as we can so we can get more of the budget toward food and beverages and fun. All right, a reminder on Insta Solutions. I actually put Nia's property in Insta Solutions on, I believe it was Friday of last week. And because it's under my name, which we have to switch, I've gotten 4 matches updates. So it's definitely a successful system. The more we use it, the more success we'll have with it. Step 1, when you have a buyer or a seller, put them in InstaList. Let's see what we can do before we go on the market and have to deal with multiple offers and all that kind of chaos. It's definitely an advantage we have. And if we don't leverage it, we're going to just be losing it. So leverage your advantage on that. Another reminder on social media, I'll be sending out a series of emails later today. I've gotten a few notifications from our legal team showing me that some of our social media pages and posts are not compliant. So be sure to make sure you're tagging Carolina One in all your posts, and your page has to clearly identify that you're with Carolina One. So if you have questions about that, let me know. Okay, so similar to what Duval was saying earlier, what do these 4 images make you think of on the screen? Andrew's not allowed to say. Is anyone having computer issues? Sorry, no, that's not what the images make you think of. How about some numbers? $3,000, $5,000, $30,000, $40,000, and how about this one? $70,000, which is Goolsby's. These are the appraisal deficits we have had since last week. Since last week. $70,000 on one of them. So my point is, it's happening. As soon as Duval started saying her success story this morning, Charlene said, it's coming around. Well, it sure is. $3,000, $5,000, we can fix those gaps. Those are easy to adjust and negotiate. But once we get upward of 30, 40, and 70, we have a serious problem. So the $70,000 one, that one is actually another Carolina One agent, which is good. And it's also a Carolina One mortgage. So that's also good. So we've got a lot of support on that one. And we actually, we thought the only resolution at one point was to go to a different mortgage lender, which obviously Kim didn't want us to do. But she was like, I don't want you to lose the deal either, because guess what else? we also had a domino effect in it. So we had 3 transactions tied to this one person's opinion of value. Very, very hard to handle, very difficult to work through. So right now, our solution, guys, if you're not talking, if you don't mind muting, we have a lot of feedback. So right now, what we're looking to do is Kim was able, we already did a dispute on it. One second, Carrie. We did a dispute on it already, and now we're having, and that they wouldn't accept that. So now we're having Kim go up the ranks to her boss and figure out if we can get an adjustment, because it's not the comps that are the issue. It's the way the appraiser adjusted for the features of the comps. So we're working really hard on it. I think we're going to be able to come to a successful resolution. As Duval had said, her solution on hers was to just get a second appraisal, and that one actually cleared. So it just goes to show you, we've got to prepare our clients that one person's opinion of value could say it's worth $30,000 more, and another one could say it's worth $30,000 less. And it's literally the same house, nothing's changed, 2 different opinions. Carrie.
In regards to that, something that I have involved in the building as a habit, if I have a property in contract and I know who the appraiser is, I show up with something. And you can't believe what happens when you help them do their job. Really, I'm not always right, but at least I know where they are. A lot of times they love to have those comps, so they don't have to do it.
Right.
So you kind of keep that in mind. You can get there too.
Most of the time, at least. Yeah, Laura did do that. Yes. So on the one that Charlene's talking about right now, for those of you online that can't hear, the one that Laura Goolsby's working through right now, the appraiser actually sent her apprentice instead of her. On another one that we're dealing with, the appraiser didn't even go into the house. That one's the $30,000 deficit. So we're working through them, but just prepare your sellers. It's hard. Andrew, another thought.
One thing to keep in mind too is Duval's actually awesome that was able to work out, but if it's an FHA, it's going to be dependent on the kind of loan as whether or not the appraisal will be allowed.
Right.
FHA is not allowed.
Right. And so the $30,000 one is a VA appraisal. So if they can't work it out and they go back on the market, he can't accept a VA loan or an FHA loan. So it minimizes his ability to sell the house in terms of financing. So keep it in mind. Do not allow second appraisals. Okay. Anything else on that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Andrew, that's not right. Jersey. So what Dan is saying, for those of you guys online, is that he always checks to see who the appraiser is. And in particular, the one that Laura's working through, we also had an appraisal issue with that same appraiser recently, within the last 6 months. So Kim has been working through that as well to make sure that that person maybe only gets condos in Ridgeville from now on or something. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Okay, moving forward. Good thoughts, good conversation. Let me know if you have struggles on that, and we'll try to work through them one by one. Also, don't forget, going in alignment with appraisal issues, you can search for properties on MLS that are active contingent with a kickout clause. So if you think you might be stretching price, or even if you're not sure, and you have an opportunity for multiple offers or something like that, put a plan B in place and always look to become that plan B if you can't find any information on any properties that's suiting your clients. Look for active contingents with a kickout. Could be an option, could be success. We've had success with it so far. All right, Lucy Beckham listings. Just a reminder on this. So the only people who are going to Lucy Beckham this year are 9th and 10th grade students. Why is this important? Why do we need to make sure we're paying attention to this? Because we need to make sure we're putting something in disclosures. If somebody is buying a house in Lucy Beckham School District because their 10th grader, 11th grader is going to go to that school, we should probably make sure that they can get into that school. So be mindful. Next year, we're going to have 9th, 10th, and 11th going to Lucy Beckham. But I think it's really important that we put something in the disclosures. So I have an alert set up. I'm going to put an alert on the girls' MLS accounts as well, that anything we list in Lucy Beckham, it will pop up and alert us to make sure that your disclosure has something in there so that we don't get caught. So somebody's not purchasing a home thinking, oh, well, Duval told me my kid would go to this school, and they're not. Okay, word from our partners real quick. We've got Carolina One Insurance, Weeks and Irvin, Global Home Warranty, which we're going to hear from Sheila here in a second on, and then, of course, Mortgage, which we'll hear from in a few minutes. A quick tip from Joe Kessinger in his office. He just wanted me to remind you guys, I talked with him yesterday, tax bills are out and they will be paid at closing, if not already paid. So remember, if you're writing a contract and it is assessed at 6% and your purchaser is a primary occupant, we're going to have an adjustment after closing because the bill at 6% is going to have to be paid at 6%. So if you need more help on that, let me know, but just be mindful to check and make sure 6% versus 4% if you're purchasing with a primary from an investor. We put this out last week, but I'm not sure if anyone saw it because we didn't do a sales meeting. So I just wanted to remind you guys what, where, and what, or why, what, and where for insurance. So why do Carolina One Insurance providers need contact information? Because they're just like you. It would be like me saying to Andrew, hey, I'm going to send you a property and I want you to give me a mortgage estimate and tell me what I can tell my client. That's not how it works. Andrew and Sherilyn want to talk to the client so they can get all the details of what matters, right? So it's no different than what we do. The information that they need for that is obviously the client's first and last name. They need the property address along with the MLS listing. And if the house is older, they need to know the age of the roof if it's been updated, the age of the plumbing, and the age of the HVAC, along with the electricity. That's the only way they can provide an accurate quote. What happens if we sell a home and we close on it and the roof is 16 years old and we didn't tell the insurance provider that, and then after closing, what typically happens? Yeah, they get an insurance note and they say, hey, we actually came out and looked at the roof. It looks like it's really old. We're going to drop your insurance unless you replace your roof. And that's not a fun experience. So make sure that you are giving all the information and then always use the insure me at carolinaoneinsurance.com. All right, Sheila, tell us about home warranty. Just push that button.
Right there?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, can y'all see me? Yeah. I'm talking about
Little Sheila.
I don't know. What do I look like?
Yeah.
Don't even look
Here
at that. All right. So this is oh, you are sweet. Is this the one you have?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. And I'm always glad to come to Long Point Road. You guys know that. I love y'all. And I'm here just to keep you informed a little bit about Global, which most of you already know that's our new provider with our company for our insurance. I mean, not insurance, for our home warranties. And I stole this little idea from Maggie. Actually, I'll give her credit for my five top reasons to add a warranty. Just to remind you that it's helpful to sell these warranties because they compete with new construction. I think currently they're at 37% of all the homes sold are new construction. It also helps to sell the home 15% faster and 2.2% closer to list price. It increases buyers' confidence. It reduces the risk of problems after closing. Currently, 66% of people report failure of a major medical system within 1 year of closing. I'm sorry, mechanical. Helps clients, saves money on repair. So those are the reasons that you would want to have a warranty. And then to remind you, our buyer plans are the Elite plan, which is $755, the Platinum plan, which is $625, the Gold plan, $495. They also offer the new construction plan that picks up on year 2 for 2 years, and that's $690. And then the condominium plan, yeah. Oh, no, they're all different. And we have the brochures in the office, so they go into more detail. And then if you have any questions after you let us know, but they're all pretty listed out with what's in there for each one. And then the condominium plan, which is actually the gold plan, but that cost for the condominium plan is $475. And again, remind you, the details are in the warranty brochure that we have in the offices. Okay. And also to remind you, did you know that your administrator orders your home warranties? If you don't, you probably need to know that you don't order them yourself, that they will take care of it for you. You just need to remember there's 2 forms to fill out. For the seller coverage, there's the seller election letter. And then for the buyer coverage, there's the warranty for the buyer that's on actually the back of the application. But both of those forms are in zip forms. Okay. Okay. And then that there's no standalone seller coverage anymore. And the only seller coverage is when the seller commits. And the word is commit to purchase it for the buyer at closing. Okay. The good news is you can choose your own service provider. That's something that's really different than what we had before. And that's pretty awesome in my book, that I can choose who I want to come and take care of my problem. And also Global pays market rates, which is also helpful in getting your own provider. They're not going to get just anyone off the street. They're going to get somebody qualified. And also that to remind you that Global responds by 4 business hours, and by 4 business hours to get a contractor on site. So they're going to respond that quick, which is probably half the average, I think, of what others do out there. Are we good? Yes, sir.
When you say pay global market rates, does that mean you don't have a service fee, or you go to 7?
No, you still have the service fee, but they put market rates to the provider.
Okay.
Right. Like instead of like $12 an hour, they might pay $20 an hour. I don't know if that's a good range, but that's just kind of that sounds pretty good.
That last sentence, just for clarity, because Global responds by 4 business hours a month, they'll get back to them.
They'll get back.
Somebody's on the way.
Yes,
So it could be 1 day out.
could be. Does that make sense? Is that about right?
And the industry average in the warranty business is 8 business hours on the first one and 8 business hours on the second one. So their target is to be twice as fast as the.
What is the fee? Oh, sorry. Katrina, you're asking what is the service fee for the seller? Well, there's a service fee whenever, if you have seller coverage. Oh yeah, go back to the plans. There you go. There's the service fees, Katrina. Depending on the plan that they choose, if you have seller coverage, depending on the plan they choose for their buyer, there's their service fees that are going to be charged. But the seller coverage is $15 for the basic coverage and $75 if they add HVAC. For a seller, yeah, and that's yeah. I think she's got it. Is that yeah? She said yeah. All right, everybody got that? Okay, and if you want. Awesome. Thank you, Gail. All right, Gail just responded and said that her client's water heater died less than 2 weeks ago after closing. Warranty through Global worked perfectly. Client's very happy. Yay, that's very good stuff.
Hey,
thanks for sharing
Sheila,
that, Gail.
Tommy Lovett here. Sheila?
Hey, Tommy. Yes, sir.
Yeah, when it says you can choose your own contractor, I think when you, as I understand it, if you call somebody that you prefer, that contractor has to accept the Global rate rather than they won't just come out and do the service call. Is that correct? The contractor that you select has to be they have to accept Global's rates.
Yes, that is correct.
Or the owner can pay the difference.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct too. Okay, so what Tommy says is that if you use your own service provider, that they have to accept Global's rate, or they can pay the difference from their service provider and what Global's rates are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think I don't want. This is Dave Sansom. What I don't want to have taken away from this conversation is that Global's rates are below the market. They're not. If the vendor is charging more than what Global is willing to pay, that's probably a little bit of a red flag. Not to say we're never going to have, points where the vendor and global disagree. I'm sure that will happen. But these guys, obviously do pretty much every kind, whether it's a hot water heater or air conditioning, this stuff thousands of times a day across the country. They know what something costs. And if a vendor is charging a premium, obviously they're not going to pay a premium just because. So it's a little bit of a check on the system to make sure the vendor's not gouging either global or the consumer.
I guess the big question, Dave, have you seen any haggling over this, which might create a delay in the service call?
Short answer, no, but a more complete answer would be we've only sold 38 of these.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many have even sold and closed.
Right.
Because we've only been with these guys for 60 days or so.
Okay.
So I don't know how many have even gone to the point where something's getting repaired. It's a great question, Tommy. We're a little too early to answer that, in any meaningful way.
Okay.
Yeah, time will tell. That's exactly right.
And it looks like Katrina has a question. Will Global recommend providers? The answer is yes. They do have a list of their own providers. And so, okay, we're good with that. And for future reference, if you guys want to learn more about Global, or if you've got some questions, there is on Rose under the company service tab, there's a Global page that actually has some Global questions that have already been asked and answered. So some of those things might be there. It would be helpful to read over that. And also there's the link to the Global Home Warranty virtual training that we had. I think we've had 4 of those. So there's one there as well. So you could go there and kind of review that. And also it would be helpful because then you could get to know this gentleman, Dwayne Hughes. He's actually the one that's on that virtual training teaching. He is our executive vice president with Global and is our continual support. So jot his number down. Put his email in there. He's very accessible. He will answer his call. He's very quick to respond. So if you got any questions or any help on that, he's there for you. We get Gary. All right. Well, that's it for me. Are y'all good? Oh, did you want it? Oh, sorry, Carrie. I have cards. You want cards? I'll give you his card. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sheila. And put the screen back up for my crazy high heels. All right, fourth quarter production's looking good so far. I'm excited for what we've got going on. I'd like to congratulate the stellar amount of people we have participating in our contest. We're going to keep inspiring this, but congrats to Dominique, Duval, Jen, Paul, Alex, Kimberly, Laura, Whitley, Elizabeth, and Andrea for continuing the activities in the activity contest. I think these agents who are participating, I think there's 9 of you guys, are participating because you understand that the activities lead to results. And just a reminder, the top 20 contest participants in the last contest that we ran, increased their unit production by 120% over the same time period the year prior. So I think it's a good TSW. Alex Dragus just put TSW in the chat box. Jump into it. If you don't have the business where you want it to be right now, let's dive in. Also, keep in mind, it doesn't have to be business from here. I told you guys earlier in the last month that I am on a mission to send 2 more outgoing referrals this year because it's easy. So I actually was texting Tyler this morning and I'm like, hey, when you're talking to patients today, figure out where they're moving to. And whatever. People are moving all over the place right now because they can all work from home, basically. So find the outgoing referrals. We're inspired by Melanie from Cane Bay, who I don't know how many she has now, but 23 of the 33 outgoing referral opportunities she found were found during the beginning of the pandemic. So that's pretty outrageous. And she's probably doing it just by calling people. So find them. They're out there. If you need help, let me know. We're not going to let you fail on this year. There's too much good opportunity. So if you need help, let me know. All right. So far for this is the end of October, I suppose, our month end. So we had 26 listings for 14.2 million, average price of $546. 90 sales for $44 million, average price of $492, and 76 closings for $37 million, average price of $489, which is awesome. Good stuff. I will read everybody through here since we've got month end here. We've got Renee Kramer team with 9, Dorothy Shea with 2, Tyler Davidson with 5, Greg Gethers, the Fessler team with 9, Mary Maloney 2, Zach Llewellyn, John Neely Nugent with 2, the Poppy team with 7, the Perella group with 12, Pam Bishop with 5, Joe Keller, the Smith team with 7. That's a good birthday month for Libby. Bonnie Cook also with 7, Casey Benton with 2, the Ritter group also with 9, Zarilla over here with 6, Marty Belk with 2, the Elite Rand team with 3, Whitley Boyd 2, Homes of the Low Country 6, Alex Terregas 3, Charlotte McDonald 3, Tina Hartford 5, Hometown Property Group with 5, Gail Young 2, the McKeechee team 2, Melissa Lloyd 3, Mary Guess, Katrina Johnson with 5, Meredith Coughlin, Northrop team with 7, Bob and Sherry Alford with 2, the Palmetto Partners, Dominique House with 4, Lance Morrison, Carrie Walker group with 2, Dubose Cuthbert with 3, Digit Matheny with 3, Jane Abbott, Kelly Neely with 2, Doug Gepford 3, Madison Reed with 3, coming back strong, Jen Huffman, the Davis and Rivers group, Chrissy Strickland, Molly Phillips with her first in October, Laura Goolsby with 4, Leah Fry, McKay Bercozy group, Ashley Marsh, Ann Wise with 2, Justin Walkendorf with 5, the Chip Idolit team with 2. That's pretty awesome considering the circumstances there. Jeannie Axel, Leslie Evans, Michelle Geathers, Duval Acker, Kristen Ackerman 2, Karen Tawes, Kathy Remington, and Anna Dalton. Good stuff, guys. Nice spread there. Awesome work. All right, moving forward, talking about money. Dave's going to tell us all about it.
All right. It's, I'm sure, riveting for everybody to hear a conversation this morning about money. Once a year, I like to go to each of the offices and just talk a little bit about where the money's going, company-wide and office-wide. Transparency is very important to us as a company, and transparency with what we're doing with the portion of your commission dollars that we retain, I think is an important conversation to have, and can help people, have a little bit of a bigger picture understanding of what's going on. Certainly open to questions. Got the chat box up here. So if you have a question, feel free to throw it in. Riveting is the word I was thinking of. Yes. Yes. And riveting, the more caffeine you've had, the closer to riveting it gets. Okay. So moving into the beginning part of this, the first conversation, those of you that have, I can't believe it's been a year since we had this conversation here the last time, but I actually put dates on each PowerPoint that I put together, and the last Long Point Road financial conversation, which I would have said was 8 weeks ago, was in last November. So it has been a year. But a bunch of you have heard this before, at least the first part of this. So forgive the repetition. We have a target for the dollars that come in the door. If $1 comes in the door, it has 100 pennies in it. It does not have 105 pennies. It does not have 95 pennies. It has 100 pennies. And we have a target for the number of pennies that go into each of the 3 buckets as we look at them. And the 3 buckets are pennies returned to the agent, pennies spent to keep the lights on, to pay for all the stuff, whether it's buildings or people or programs or support or whatever it is. And then the third bucket is a profit target for our ownership. It's not a charity, and you do run a business, especially one with a lot of people and a lot of pains in the neck that come up from time to time, and a huge amount of liability. It's nice if there's a point for the owners to have that company. Otherwise, they can just sell it to some corporate overlords from New Jersey, and then we'll work for them, which I don't really want to do. So, just any guesses as to, of the 100 cents and the 3 buckets, pennies returned to the agents, pennies to operate the company, and target profit, what the numbers of pennies are that we aim for in each bucket? 95 to the agents. They would be very happy with that, but sadly, no. So the first bucket, and this is inclusive of NAF and everything. So not stuff that you pay for yourself, like a C-180 ad. That's a pass-through expense. We actually lose a little bit of money on that, but not counting stuff that would be on your AR. So I'm talking about, NAF, transaction fee, risk management, and commission split. The target is for 80 cents to be retained by the agents. Obviously, that's not going to be linear. You know, there are folks that are either newer or have lower production, may retain less than 80%, 80 cents on the dollar. And then we have some people that, you know, have very high production and spend a lot of the year at 100%. And in the end, they retain 93, 94, 95, 96 cents on the dollar, all told. Then the second bucket, keep the lights on. That's 14 cents is the target, 14 cents out of every dollar to keep the lights on and pay our people. And then the last bucket, pre-tax profit, is 6 cents. Now, something to think about in the 6 cent pre-tax profit is that is pre-tax. So once Uncle Sam and Uncle Palmetto take their cut, how much is left roughly of those 6 cents? Around 3 cents, roughly. You know, it's probably a tick more than that, like 3.25 cents, but roughly 3 cents by the time everybody's done taking their shot at it. So Long Point Road year to date is at 77 cents retained by the agents, 18 cents in operating expenses, and a 5 cent pre-tax profit. Why would Long Point Road be trailing a little bit below the company-wide target? In other words, why are we retaining, and I'm putting air quotes around too much, you know, why are we retaining too much here? Newer agents, that's it. So the production on the lower end of the commission split scale, if you look at the way the production's laying out on Long Point Road, there's the newer people are more productive here than what we would normally anticipate them to be. So that is, for the purposes of those folks and this year, it's a good thing. It just makes it look like we're keeping too much money on a spreadsheet. Does that make sense? Okay. And then our operating expenses here are a little bit high. There's an inside baseball reason that that's the case, that I'm not going to even ask you guys to guess it, because I mean, if somebody got it, I'd have to quit my job and you'd have to take it. So the managers are paid a bonus based on the profitability of core services, the real estate side, but also mortgage, insurance, and title. And mortgage and title are very profitable in this office, but the entire bonus is charged to real estate. So when you have mortgage and insurance, or mortgage and title doing really well, and there's a nice size bonus being paid off of that, that entire amount is charged to real estate. So it makes the real estate expense structure look a little goofy. Does that make sense? Okay. Like I said, I would never have expected anybody to guess that. Okay. So then where are we company-wide? Company-wide, the agents are retaining 83 cents on the dollar. We're operating on 14 cents on the dollar, and we have a pre-tax profit company-wide year-to-date of 3 cents on the dollar. That 83, we made a couple of commission plan changes over the last 3 years that we anticipated would cost around $600,000 a year. Based on meaning $600,000 a year more return to the agents cost from our perspective. Based on two things. Number one is increased production, and number two is company-wide more and more production being done by about the top third to top 40% of the agents, who are really the people that hit the 95% or the 100% and stay there for some period of time. There's a shift of production to those folks. So our company dollar loss this year will be closer to $1.2 million. So basically a shift of money to the agents of roughly $1.2 million, which is why you see that retained by agents number at 83 cents against the target of 80. Does that make sense? Questions or comments? No idea. You know, I would say 90 some odd % of our agents tell us they're full-time. And then you see them, you know, as your Uber driver or your bartender or something, which would suggest that they're not as full-time as they represented. And we don't have a problem necessarily with an agent being part-time. If somebody's hearing this and feels like I'm dogging on that, I'm not. We don't, as long as there's an exit plan. You know, if the part-time piece is a bridge to something else, a bridge to going full-time, of course, we'll embrace that and we'll work with it and we'll help make sure that your clients are served and that sort of thing. What we're more concerned about are the people that tell us they're full-time and they're not, and they have no plan to ever really be full-time. Because that's just not a great way to deliver a good experience to the consumer. Carrie said that's called lying. I will give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that we had mismatched definitions. So then we have 1,006 agents in total as a company as of the last count. And that includes new homes, that includes Edisto. So, you know, we're when you think about pay plans, which would be individual agents and teams, we're about 790. Okay, don't really expect anybody to follow that. With Maggie, launch exit plan works very well. Oh yeah, yep, yeah. Launch has helped a lot with getting folks up and productive. That was the point, and fortunately, it's working. Sorry, I missed that. Very little. We never really should have linked the idea of NAF and leading RE together. Most of leading RE works off of two primary revenue streams. One is the extra referral money that you pay. I forget if it's on outgoing or incoming, but you pay on, you know, the extra, whatever it is, 5 or 6% on one side. Well, it's but we jack it up by 5 to cover that, right? So that it's 20% of whatever the referral amount is. So most of the time it amounts to 5%. That money is for leading RE, and then they charge membership dues based on the size of the company. So that's not a fixed amount, but it's fairly close to a fixed amount. So most of NAF helps us operate. I don't remember. So the question was, how much does it cost for us to belong to leading RE? Honest, and this isn't being dodgy or evasive. I don't remember. I mean, I could certainly look that up and email it to you, but you know, if I had to guess, I would put it in the $100,000 range, something like that. But when you look at $100,000 relative to what we collect in NAF, it's a very small number. All right, moving to just a this year, last year comparison, except I have the this year numbers wrong. So we'll move past that slide. I did this at a Starbucks yesterday. Apparently I got distracted. I don't remember that. The 10-year history of the company, it's now more than 10 year. That means this is a really old slide I never paid attention to the heading of. This is now the 15 or 16-year history of the company. The blue purplish line, or I guess that's purple line at the top, that is our, well, I'm sorry, let's start with the first highest line is the blue line. That's our revenue, and we look at revenue as the dollars we keep. So our real gross commission income in a year is probably about 80 to 90 million. By the time the agents are paid, it's usually down in the 18 million range. And then you add on top of this our revenue from title, revenue from insurance, all our other companies. So that blue line is our revenue from all of our companies. The purple line, which is the second line, start on the left side, it's the second line down, starting as the second line. That's our expenses. And then the bottom line, the green one, is what you get when you subtract the purple from the blue, when you subtract the expenses from the revenue, and that's all in millions. And that's those earnings are pre-tax. So that profit you see at the bottom is pre-tax. So I think there's a couple of points to make here. You know, we're in the $3 million range, roughly profitable for the last few years, $3 to $4 million. It will be substantially higher than that this year, in no small part because of mortgage and the refi boom. So that's really driving a lot of it. That is filling in the giant hole that we dug by changing the commission plans. So that is, thank you, Sheila and Andrew. If we haven't said thank you to you lately, that was an oversight. We get some questions about the expense escalation sometimes. There's a couple things in there to think about. You know, there's been some investments in the last couple of years in new buildings, and it takes a while to fill those up. So, you know, there's an old joke or an old phrase that goes around in the real estate business, which is if you want to make a small fortune owning a real estate company or owning a real estate office, start with a large one. And you will eventually whittle it down to a small fortune. So when you open a real estate office, it takes about 5 years for your cumulative investment to break even. And then after year 5, you can start making profit, start making your 5 to 6 cent profit on the first 5-year investment. So all those expenses are really in the last 3 or 4 years where you see that very high expense number. The other thing over time, you know, back when you see those super high revenue numbers, our commission plans were extremely different, and we didn't have. So you, as an example, you as an agent, you could easily in 2005 have paid us $250,000. Now, if you're a giant team maxing out all of your production, around the most you can pay us is 70. So, you know, that is a wild swing in revenue. And that the questions you get with that, like, when are we flying to Paris the next time? Well, the last time we flew to Paris, you paid us $250,000. So if you pay us $250,000, we will, instead of 70, we'll send you to Paris twice. I mean, just to be super nice. So, you know, that is something to remember back in those blue lines. The other thing with the purple lines today versus then is we have a lot of businesses like property management that are employee heavy that we did not have back then. So our expense structure today is similar to our 05 or 06 expense structure, but we are way leaner in most of what we do. There's just a few employee intensive places like property management that make that number look, you know, that make our expenses look as high as they were then. Does that make sense? Yes, we do. The question was, do we own the property management company at all? Yes, we do. We own it 100%. It is obviously branded away from Carolina One, but we do own it. Moving to the next slide, the actual office financials and my favorite TV character of all time. This is the Long Point Road this year and last year, year to date through the end of September. So don't have October financials yet. So GCI is gross commission income in the door, that top line. There's about $1.2 million more have come in the door. This is real estate only at Long Point Road this year versus last year. So that is you know, obviously a tremendous thing. That's a lot of money in a 9-month span. The second line down, we look at the commissions you guys are paid as an expense. So commission expense, of that $1.21 million that has come in the door, the agents have retained about 1.2 million. So about 1.2 million of that incremental 1.2 million have been retained by the agents and about 100 grand retained by the company. Make sense? Okay. Compensation. You know, compensation is really 3 people for the most part. It's Maggie and the OAs. And anytime you see a large increase in compensation, it's usually tied to profitability because we don't change, you know, the base pay all that much. The manager's base pay is pretty much fixed, you know, and then we try to follow whatever wages are doing in the market for our office administrators. So, and you know, maybe a little bit more obviously if they're doing a great job. So when you see something like that, but look at the very bottom, which is profit. When the real estate profit is roughly flat, which it is, but you see the compensation line, which is a variable component for the office manager, up so much, that means that the core services are killing it because mortgage, insurance, and title, remember this is real estate only, are not in this number. All right, then the cost of Salt Point is the next line down. That is allocated out to the offices in our own little internal version of socialism based on how much GCI the office brought in the year prior. So the better an office does, the more of the load of the corporate load it has to shoulder the next year. So we did not go on a crazy drunken spending spree at Salt Point that gave Long Point $30,000 more load to shoulder. It's the fact that you guys had a good year last year compared to the year prior, so you got a bigger percentage of the existing load. Marketing, this is money we've spent at Long Point to subsidize the cost of things like C-180, Fine Homes program. You know, there is nothing that you buy through us, through our marketing or technology endeavors that we mark up. The worst case is it's a pass-through. In most cases, we subsidize the cost a bit to encourage utilization, lower the cost to drive up usage. That benefits you as the agent, That benefits your client if it's a property being advertised, and it benefits us if you guys do more business. So that's the rationale. The core marketing there, that's going to be things like the website, the cost of marketing labor allocated out to the offices. That's company-wide stuff, not office specific. IT, that's, you know, computers, internet, all that fun stuff that you don't think about till it breaks. Rent for the building, we had a lease reset this past year, and the lease rate changed quite a bit. You know, the market rate leases have jumped up quite a bit, and that is why that rent number this year is higher than last year. That much higher than last year. It'll always be a little bit higher, but maybe $5,000, not 13. We were the beneficiaries of a below market lease rate last year. Carrie.
Since you're comparing 19 to 2020, 2020 is over yet.
Yep, and this is 19 through the same time period.
Oh, okay.
So the question was, is this full year 19 versus 2020 so far? It's not. It's end of September both years. Top producer trip, we didn't have one. So the expenses are down in that regard. We did have an awards night before the virus hit the fan. And then there's a whole bunch of other expense, individual smaller line items that add up to about $288,000. So that's where, and that includes things like copiers and, you know, copier leases, and I mean, basically anything we haven't already talked about. Any questions or comments through a long droning on about a whole bunch of numbers? Okay. Last thing I'd like to put up, this gives everybody a, you know, a little view of, and Maggie's super competitive. So, you know, most people would look at 2 of 13 as a really positive thing. Maggie's probably going to go home and cry, or go to the gym or something. I don't know. But this is the office profitability, all offices laid out by the type of business. The real estate profit in one column, mortgage, title, insurance, for a total off to the right. Long Point Road is in the number 2 position company wide. And, you know, if you look at any of our offices, you can see that we don't really make our money in the real estate. I mean, you need the real estate sales to drive everything else, but the core services utilization, why do we go on and on about it all the time? That's why. And, you know, that it also enables us to control the experience, and it gives us a lot more influence when something goes wrong than when it doesn't. And the better those businesses do, the more commission dollars we can return to the agents on the real estate side.
I'm not getting my Carolina One vest.
You're not getting your Carolina One vest? Oh. I only kind of remember that story. You said something about wanting so Maggie said she's not getting her Carolina One vest. You want to tell the story? I don't want to botch it.
I told him a couple weeks ago. I said that to Michael when we became the first $1 million profitable office. I was going to buy a Corvette, and he said we have those downstairs, and I'm like, what? And he said, I'll go get you one. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, a Carolina One vest? And I'm like, not a Corvette. A Corvette. So now I have to send Tim a Corvette.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Not the first, but nice how you finish.
We can do a little better than a Corvette. Maybe not a Corvette, but we can do a little better than that. You can get 2 of them. You know, if you're torn between 2 colors. Yeah. So why not just have both? So that's it. That's it from my side today. You know, again, I'm happy to sit down with anybody and open the books to the individual offices, go through them with you if you want to. In 7 years of almost now doing this job, I've had exactly 1 person take me up on that, and they looked as bored as you would think they did. So, you know, I don't know why you would want to do that, but if you want to do it, you know, I'll happily make the time to do it because again, you know, that we are very much aware of the fact that you have lots of cheaper options, and so we need to deliver on our side of the value proposition in order to keep you here, and we try to do that. But also part of it is to part of the reason that we do this is so you guys know where we're spending your money. Because if we don't tell you, you'll make up your own story. And rather than you make up a story that may or may not be correct, we'd rather just give you the correct one. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Duval has a question. I'm sorry. This year, COVID. No. No, the trade show is way too important, both from internal promotion, cultural, getting everybody together. It more or less pays for itself with vendors and that kind of thing. Plus, it's a great recruiting event for us. We usually pick up half a dozen or so experienced agents that attend from other companies by the end of the year. But the trade show is like what tips them in our favor. So it'll absolutely come back. And we kicked around ways to try to do it smaller regionally, maybe in the parking lots this year, but it was too cumbersome. So it's a victim of COVID that will stop being a victim of COVID when COVID stops victimizing us. Probably not. So the question was, will we have a kickoff meeting of some sort in January? My guess is probably no. That's not decided. There's a bunch of stuff that isn't decided yet because so much has changed. You know, and so this is really turning into a COVID conversation. But if you extend that question to something like top producer trip, right? That's another one. You know, we have to make a go, no go decision on that by New Year's Eve, you know, New Year's Day. So what do we do? You know, there's going to be people that aren't comfortable going. There's going to be people that are comfortable going. You know, we have a cruise ship lined up. Are they going to be sailing? Don't know. You know, so there's all kinds of stuff we don't know. And I think it's also reasonable to expect that this thing is going to have a seasonal element to it, which is why the cases are rising in all the frozen, horrible places that we all moved here from. And, you know, as winter drags on and the cold weather sinks south, I think you'll see the cases spike. And then if everybody's focused on cases and not other metrics, then everyone will panic. Nobody will want to do any of this stuff. And, you know, we have dates at which large deposits become non-refundable. So we really have to take our best guess in advance of those dates. And we're getting real close to kickoff, go, no go, kickoff meeting, go, no go. And I'm betting it's a no go. Now we do something virtually, right? But it's not the same. We acknowledge that, but you know, you do what you can. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave. You had a message in here that says, love the transparency. Great to be with a company with so much integrity.
I made up all the numbers.
It's all fake, Kristen. None of it's real. Just joking. All right, guys, let's move forward and hear from our listing agents. I think we've got 3 new listings for this month, or this week, excuse me. Abby and Greg, are either of you on the call this morning? I think I saw Abby. No Abby. No Greg. Okay, this is 8856 Gable Street, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1368 square feet in University Park. I believe that's in North Charleston, my neck of the woods. So reach out to them if you've got somebody interested in that area of town. Daniel Island, we have this beautiful listing from Liz and Peggy, and I know they said they weren't going to be on, but let me just double check unless they're on the phone. This is 2441 Daniel Island Drive, 5 bedrooms, 5.5 bath. You've got to check it out online. Peggy's probably going to do some kind of agent event there, but it's 4,400 square feet. It's right across from Smythe Park. They've got it listed at 1.8. So it's a great house, exquisite on the inside as well. So reach out to them if you've got somebody for that. That's it on our listing side, our little caravan car. We are going to move forward, and Andrew is going to kick his part to next week, but I will run through the thank yous if you guys don't mind, just for the sake of time. Good. Closings this week, they had Gail Young, Kristen Ackerman, Tyler Davidson, and Alex Terregas. Awesome stuff. Congratulations to all of you guys. New contracts was Dominique House, Christy Strickland, Mary Maloney, and Kristen Ackerman again. It's always nice to close one and ratify one in the same week. Good stuff, girl. One out, one in. And lots of referrals this week. We've got Pam Bishop, Duval Acker, Jen Huffman, Dominique House, Christy Strickland, Kimberly Ritter, Molly Lawson, Kristen Ackerman with 2 new referrals, Greg Fessler with 2 new referrals, Katrina Johnson, Collier Helms, didn't even have his email set up yet, and he was sending referrals. Lauren Zarilla and Steve Smith. So thank you guys very, very much for the referrals to mortgage. And then our inquiries on mortgage, Lisa Northrup, Laura Goolsby, Peggy Leet, Alex Stragus, Dorothy Shea, Jen Huffman, Leslie Evans, the Renee Kramer team, Tina Hartford, Andrea Rousseau, Fessler team, and Lance Morrison. Thank you guys very much for supporting our team. Andrew said, and that is why we are number 2. That's awesome. All right, we will wrap with this. It's 10:03, but you may have seen this before, but this I think is really powerful and very timely. So hopefully you guys can hear it, and it's only about 2 minutes long, but it's hopefully going to lift you up a little bit today. Okay, it's 3 minutes long.
I am part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realize this may be a shock, but happiness comes from within is a lie, and money will make me happy. So in 30 years, I'll tell my children they are not the most important thing in my life. My employer will know that I have my priorities straight because work is more important than family. I'll tell you this, once upon a time, families stayed together, but this will not be true in my era. This is a quick fix society. Experts tell me 30 years from now, I'll be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. I do not concede that I will live in a country of my own making. In the future, environmental destruction will be the norm. No longer can it be said that my peers and I care about this earth. It will be evident that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It is foolish to presume that there is hope. And all this will come true unless we choose to reverse it. There is hope. It is foolish to presume that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It will be evident that my peers and I care about this earth. No longer can it be said that environmental destruction will be the norm. In the future, I will live in a country of my own making. I do not concede that 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. Experts tell me this is a quick fix society, but this will not be true in my era. Families stayed together once upon a time. I tell you this, family is more important than work. I have my priorities straight because my employer will know that they are not the most important thing in my life. So in 30 years, I'll tell my children, money will make me happy is a lie, and happiness comes from within. I realize this may be a shock, but I can't change the world, and I refuse to believe that I am part of a lost generation.
That's what parents told me.
That's pretty cool, right? So if you guys actually remember last time we had, we'd done this before, and we had the office full of agents, and I printed every line, and I went around the room and gave every person a line, and you guys read it all, and then we went backwards. And it was so much more powerful when you can see people's facial expressions, because I literally saw Sheila go, when you get it. And the whole thing is a perspective shift, right? So right now, especially in today's world and what's going on in the world and with election and all the unrest about the election, it's so important that we check our perspective every single day. And literally, if you look at something and it riles you up and you're mad and you're furious, that serves nobody. Doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve the people around you. But if you could literally reverse that perspective, you could see a whole different message and meaning there. So it's really powerful. I encourage you to share that with people. The world needs it. We can't do all the good the world needs, but the world definitely needs all the good we can do. So give it out today, give it out the rest of the week, and do what you can. We're proud that you guys are here. Thank you for choosing us. Number 2 isn't so bad, but number 1 is definitely better than number 2. So thank you guys very much for rolling with me. You can stay on for the prayer team if you would like. I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend if I don't see y'all. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at Park Circle. Bye. 1 o'clock.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thanks, guys.
Hey.
What's up, girl? How are you?
Did you see that video? I'd like to send it out to my LA. I think that they really,
There's a couple different versions of it.
Great, Maggie. Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
by Jonathan Reed. He's
So we
a
know what
14-year-old
we're
high
talking
school
about.
student. And there's a couple different versions, and most of the versions online are read by a kid.
oh my gosh.
And so when you read it from a kid's perspective, it kind of changes. But this is the only
everybody
adult
doing?
one I can find.
Yeah, and then I can look it up too.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing a writing utensil and then we will get started.
Hi. Good. I'm a landscape dude. We're wanting to know,